We know where AJ is, and once we agree to terms, then it'll all fall into place.
Frank Warren has officially confirmed Daniel Dubois' return to the ring this February, with a potential rematch against Anthony Joshua on the horizon. Meanwhile, Turki Alalshik revealed that preparations are underway for a significant fight card that will see rival promoters Queensberry and Matchroom face off once again. This upcoming event follows their previous 5 vs 5 team match in June, where Queensberry emerged victorious over Matchroom. A second installment of the event is being planned for February, potentially featuring a highly anticipated rematch between Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua. Alalshik, speaking after the Artur Beterbiev vs Dmitry Bivol press conference, shared, "In February we will see Queensberry against Matchroom again, 5 vs 5. We aim to finalize everything this week with a big surprise in store. Then we'll wait for the result of the December 21st fight between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury." He emphasized the importance of these high-profile matchups, stating, "Joshua, Dubois, Tyson, Usyk. Everyone is on the line. This is what we want. The big fights that determine the best fighters in each division." After defeating Joshua in a thrilling bout, Daniel Dubois hints at having learned valuable lessons from their first encounter. He would bring more control, speed, and self-belief to the ring. While he respects Joshua as a formidable opponent who will come prepared to win, Dubois feels it's now his time to reign as the new king of heavyweight boxing.
What could you do better? But what did you learn from that fight? Where do you see improvement if this fight comes again?
Without giving too much away, I think I'll be more, more up for it. I was up for it, but just more believing in myself, more control, more speed, more everything. And AJ as well, he'll bring it as well. He'll bring it, he'll come to win like he did last time. But I just feel like it's my time, and as a world champion, and just have the IBF belt and all of that is just. It's just icing on the cake, so I need to keep this run going.
Boxing promoter Eddie Hearn discusses Anthony Joshua's desire to become the world heavyweight champion again. He highlights that Joshua has a direct opportunity to fight for the title, despite just losing a tough fight. Hearn contrasts this with the alternative of waiting for a year, hoping for a fight with Tyson Fury, or taking a slower rebuilding path. However, Hearn dismisses the idea of rebuilding through easy fights.
You have to look at the individual and what you want. So, in that instance, you say, what does Anthony Joshua want? He wants to be world heavyweight champion. He has a straight shot at the world heavyweight championship if he wants it, in a tough fight that he just lost. Or he can sit around for a year and hope that Tyson Fury decides to fight him, or someone else decides to fight him, or rebuild.
Eddie Hearn emphasizes that Joshua should jump at the chance to fight for the World Heavyweight Championship right now, even though it's risky. Hearn's all about taking action rather than waiting around for a perfect opportunity, like a potential match with Tyson Fury, which might never happen. He looks back on how, following Joshua's loss to Usyk, they opted for easier fights to help him recover and rebuild his confidence. He mentions the fighters Joshua faced during that period, but now he feels those types of fights aren't necessary anymore. Hearn believes that if Joshua lets this opportunity slip by, he'll regret it later. Waiting around doesn't make sense, especially with so many unpredictable factors like injuries or losses from other fighters. He wants Joshua to take his shot now, while it's right in front of him. Hearn added, "I say he'd never be able to forgive himself for letting that opportunity of the World Heavyweight Championship pass him by now. For what? To wait for Fury? What if someone got an injury, and then what if Fury lost and he just fights him for no belt? We can do that another time." Dubious promoter Frank Warren says Daniel Dubois is ready for a rematch with Anthony Joshua if the money's right. Now the IBF champ, Dubois, is primed for big opportunities. If Joshua wants it, the fight's on.
Daniel Dubois and Team Dubois are kind of open to the best available opportunity, whatever that is, whether that's AJ rematch or.
He wants to maximise his position now as being the IBF world champion, and I'm sure the terms will be lucrative, and that'll make it happen if AJ wants it.
Frank Warren notes that there are no obstacles on his side regarding the rematch, and it could potentially take place in Riyadh. However, final details, such as monetary agreements, still need to be settled before anything is confirmed. Warren remains open to the idea and expects everything to move forward smoothly once those negotiations are complete. Furthermore, boxing commentator Adam Smith speculates that Joshua might have been psychologically rattled early in the fight, potentially due to past sparring memories. Despite being relaxed and confident throughout fight week, Joshua's performance in the ring was poor. Smith notes that it was a terrible showing, and while Joshua may want a rematch or even a fight with Tyson Fury, he needs time to recover and reflect before making any decisions.
So they go back to the drawing board, they go back, they take their time, and for me, he needs a long rest before any thought of a rematch or the Fury fight. AJ Fury, of course, can still happen. He's 34, he turns 35 in October, but it's about looking at the manner of defeat and looking at what happened with Andy Ruiz.
Can AJ Fury still happen, Adam?
Yes, it can. Of course
because
it can happen.
If Usyk beats Fury again...
Of course it can happen.
Adam Smith discusses Daniel Dubois' impressive victory and suggests that this fight may represent a passing of the torch in British heavyweight boxing. He praises Dubois, stating that he deserves respect for his win, as he is now in a prominent position in the division. Despite the overwhelming crowd support for Anthony Joshua, who has long been a fan favorite and an iconic figure, Smith reminds listeners that Dubois, at 27 years old, is a British heavyweight and now holds the spotlight after his dominant performance. The victory shifts attention from Joshua to Dubois as the rising star. In addition, former pro boxer Carl Froch questions the wisdom of an immediate rematch for Anthony Joshua against Daniel Dubois. He expresses skepticism about whether it's a good decision for Joshua, given how convincingly Dubois dominated the fight from the very beginning. Carl hints at possible undisclosed issues with Joshua, like an injury or illness, that might have affected his performance, questioning if there are underlying reasons that might explain Joshua's poor showing in the fight.
So, do I think the rematch is a good idea? The answer to that is no, not for Anthony Joshua. For Daniel Dubois, the rematch is fantastic. He's gone in there and he was dominating behind the jab straight away. He landed that right hand at the end of round one and put AJ on shaky legs instantly. And then for the rest of the fight, he didn't really get clipped. He got touched in round 5, and a lot of people are making this big deal about Anthony Joshua catching Dubois with the right hand.
Carl Forch notes that Joshua seemed nervous and struggled to find his rhythm from the start, failing to recover effectively after being knocked down at the end of the first round. Carl emphasizes that Joshua's lack of punch resistance appears to have diminished, implying that he is now more vulnerable to getting hurt in fights. He raises the possibility that Joshua might be thinking he can avoid getting caught in future rounds, but overall, he expresses doubt about Joshua's readiness for an immediate rematch given his recent performance and mental state. In discussing the prospect of a rematch between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois, boxing analyst Gareth Davies expressed strong reservations, advising Joshua to avoid it altogether. He cautioned, "Don't fight Daniel Dubois in the rematch," arguing that it could be catastrophic for Joshua's legacy if another loss occurred. Instead, Gareth recommended that Joshua wait for the outcome of the Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk fight, stating, "Wait for Tyson Fury and fight Tyson Fury next year." He highlighted that fighting Fury would be a more sensible option, allowing Joshua to preserve his legacy and potentially retire on a high note. Gareth also dismissed the idea of a bout with Deontay Wilder, warning that it could ruin his legacy if it didn't go well, reinforcing his belief that Joshua should focus on Fury rather than taking unnecessary risks. Steve Bunce explains that despite Joshua's recent defeat, he remains confident in a comeback, with strong support from his team. Bunce speculates that a rematch, possibly against Dubois, is likely due to significant financial backing, especially from Saudi investors.
I think AJ clearly believes there's a path to victory. The optics don't look good on paper. You know, dropped 4 times and knocked out in the 5th of those and dominated comfortably. And so that doesn't look good. But AJ believes it, and if his corner and the people around him believe in him, then I think they'll get it. And will he have a rematch? I think he might. I think there might be a rematch straight away.
His Excellency wants that next.
Oh, yeah, and he wants it, and that means there's some money floating around.
Steve Bunce discusses how boxing economics shape rematches and future matchups. He explains that in the past, after winning a title, fighters would often face less-known opponents in their first defense. However, today, big-name fighters like Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua are more likely to face elite opponents immediately due to the financial stakes involved. Bunce added, "The days of Dubois fighting someone you've barely heard of in his first defense are gone. Hey, fight for money, and this dictates their decisions." That's why this fight is here. Pro boxer Billy Joe Saunders expresses confidence in AJ's ability to become a 3-time world champion, despite the possibility of having an off night. He cites AJ's earlier loss to Andy Ruiz, highlighting how a defensive strategy helped him rebound successfully. Saunders emphasizes the importance of mindset, suggesting AJ may not have been fully engaged during his recent fight, and urges him to return to the disciplined training and sacrifices that marked his earlier success. Ultimately, Saunders believes that with the right focus and preparation, AJ can recover and excel in a future fight against Dubois. Saunders added, "I think he has to strip back to the thoughts of where he wasn't in the position he was and dreamed about this position he's in and take forward that same sacrifices. You have to strip everything back. Your lifestyle, the people around you, your training, pushing yourself to the limits." In a harsher take, former pro boxer Chris Algieri bluntly states that Anthony Joshua's skills are shot, his chin is gone, his technique is fading, and he's not championship material anymore. Despite this, Joshua's popularity keeps him relevant, with big money fights against Fury or Wilder still on the table, though they'd likely be his last hurrah.
But in terms of where Anthony Joshua goes from here, he's been adamant saying that he's going to continue his career. I personally don't think we're going to see him at this championship level once again. Does he take a fight with Tyson Fury if Tyson is to lose to Usyk? Possibly. I mean, it's a huge fight. It's a ton of money. I would understand why he would do it. Is he going to fight Wilder in essentially basically a retirement matchup? Very, very possible as well. If they're going to continue to go on, there's money to be made still. Joshua is still extremely, extremely popular. 98,000 in Wembley that night.
Reflecting on the AJ versus Dubois bout, pro boxer Terence Crawford weighed in on AJ's performance, noting that Joshua's overconfidence after landing a good shot in the 5th round led to his downfall. Crawford said, "It was a great fight. I think Joshua got overconfident. He hurt him with a shot and went for the kill but forgot about his defense and the fundamentals. This lapse in judgment left AJ vulnerable, ultimately sealing his fate in the ring." Crawford added that Dubois was the better man on the fight night. He continued, "I always stated that the better man was going to win today and Dubois was the better man. He came to fight. You could see it in his eyes that he was not leaving the ring without that victory." However, Tyson Fury said that this sort of thing happens in the heavyweight division of boxing, where a good right hand can be so devastating for you.
Your reaction? Yes, Tyson.
It's heavyweight boxing, boys. It happens. Shit happens. You get knocked spark out. It could have been me. It could have been you. It could have been anybody. In the heavyweight division, it's what happens. One punch away from being smashed, knocked out.
Tyson Fury further said that age caught up to Anthony Joshua. He stated, "I thought it was a 50-50 fight. Dubois is a lot younger. He's 27 years old. Joshua is 35, the same age as me. Age doesn't wait for anybody. You get hit with those punches. You don't see many heavyweights get hit, get knocked down, get back up, and continue on." Pro boxer Alexander Usyk slammed Anthony Joshua's performance against Daniel Dubois, calling it amateurish and disappointing.
The footwork was the issue, the mentality was the issue, everything was the issue. I thought I was seeing the man who has the face of AJ, but has a completely different inside.
Moreover, Tyson Fury went wild after watching Anthony Joshua get dropped by Daniel Dubois at Wembley, throwing a wrench in what could have been a blockbuster showdown between the two British heavyweights. Fury, sitting ringside, didn't hold back, ripping into Joshua and blasting, "Listen, that's cost me $150 million, the silly shit. Of course it has. He's fucked." Fury was banking on a doubleheader in Saudi and London, but Joshua's flop threw a massive spanner in the works. Still, the Fury versus Joshua dream ain't completely dead, especially if Fury catches and lost in his rematch with Usyk. Joshua's promoter, Eddie Hearn, kept the door open, saying, "I don't see it being a fight that ends his career. We may end up fighting the loser of that fight, maybe if it's Tyson Fury." Joshua's crew is grinding to keep his career afloat, eyeing a rematch with Dubois and whatever other shots they can line up to keep the big man in the game. Thanks for watching. If you're excited for Daniel Dubois' next fight and the potential Joshua rematch, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for all the latest updates. Let us know in the comments if you think Dubois can take on Joshua again, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on the latest boxing news.